What's up, you reckless rippers? It's time to get your board out of the bottom of the pool because that water ain't good for it. And it's time to maintain it, get it back to 100% shredding capability. I'm Chris J. Ross with BCSurf.com, and this is Longboard Maintenance. The first thing you're going to do is gather up some tools, and we recommend just grabbing yourself a skate tool. It's the easiest way to pretty much do any type of maintenance or fixing or adjusting on your board, and plus you don't have to go dig around in your toolboxes trying to find the right stuff. It's got everything from your kingpin, your axle nuts, the base of your truck, those nuts down there. Also, you usually have a Phillips head and a little tiny little hex screw also in case you have that type of hardware. So we suggest just grabbing one of these. They come in a bunch of different styles and stuff, so you can grab one of those. First thing we're going to cover today is just kind of fine-tuning up your bushings. This is kind of common sense to a lot of people, but this can really help fine-tune your ride to make you turn faster, be more stable, and all that stuff. It's just going to be based on the truck and, of course, general rule, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And you just tighten those to make it more stable, or you loosen those up to make it a little more carvy. To make the biggest adjustments, we're going to check out on the rear truck by your tail. This is usually controlled by your back foot. It makes the most drastic changes. So if you really want to loosen up your board, just loosen that up, and vice versa, you need more stability. Then you can kind of fine-tune the nose truck, and that way you kind of fine-tune that in there and kind of play with both of them. There's not really a right and wrong. It's just kind of how it feels right to you, so experiment with it. Also of note is as you ride bushings, they're going to break in. They're going to get a little bit easier to squish down and condense, so you might need to adjust them over time to get the best ride for you. Now in the bushing world, there's tons of different bushings out there. They usually come in different duros, or they might even just say the soft, the medium, and the hard. The harder ones are more stable, so if you're looking at a lot more hills, going a little faster, or just want to kind of lock into a straight line, try the little harder ones out because they'll offer you more stability, especially at higher speeds. For a more carvy, cruisy style, go softer in the duro of your bushings. And also just loosen them up. That way you'll be able to respond quickly, change directions fast, and make it a fun ride. Also on bushings, you've got a couple different styles of them. Depending on the trucks you have, you might have two barrels where they're kind of just straight walls. This is the most stable as it offers the most urethane. Some of them even have one cone on top that'll help you carve a little tighter. And of course, the most carvy is 2 cones. You'll be carving all over the place. The next thing to do is to extend the life of your wheels. Now, if you're riding a lot, you're going to notice that your wheels don't necessarily wear evenly. If you do a little bit slides and you favor backslide or toe slide, the wheels on that side generally wear a little faster. And you may notice what your wheels are doing called coning is where one side is thicker than the other. So one way to kind of stop that from happening, extend the life of your wheels, is to rotate them. Now what you're going to do here is basically just take your wheels off and you're going to switch them. We usually recommend switching them not only side to side, but nose to tail. So think of like an X over your board and swap them like that. This helps out even out any wear patterns, as usually one wheel's going to wear faster than all the others and one wheel's going to wear barely at all. So kind of switch those around in that X pattern. That usually helps it out a lot. Also, some wheels are center set, like the new orangutan Baloots. If they're center set, you can actually flop those around to kind of even out that wear pattern. It might not have to get so confusing going all over, but make sure to check for that also. Now, to make your ride roll faster, and one of the biggest complaints that people have is their board is slowing down and not going fast as normal. So sometimes that means changing the bearings completely. In the bearing range, you've got tons of different choices out there. So you've got the ABEC range, which usually runs ABEC 3, 5, and 7. The higher number in that ABEC range is the better quality bearing. They're usually a little bit more expensive too, but you'll get a lot more roll time out of them and some quicker acceleration. You've also got bearings out there that don't really have a rating at all. The most common ones we see are the ones from Bones. They're like Reds, Super Reds, Bones Swiss, Super Swiss. They don't have an ABEC rating, but they still roll extremely, extremely well. If you have bearings that are kind of getting pretty old, you notice some rust, a lot of noise, it might be time to switch them out if you can't clean them, but you might be able to clean them, and that's what we're going to check out right now. So you've bought an expensive pair of bearings, or maybe you just got an older set that you kind of want to clean out and keep rolling with. We're going to show you how to kind of clean those out. Now, especially when your bearings get dirty, you can tell because they usually make a lot of noise. You're going to hear this like whining sound that's kind of happening. You may even notice a little bit of slowdown in speed, although that's pretty gradual, so it's hard for most people to notice. First thing you want to do is check your bearings. The ones that you really can clean are ones that have a little plastic shield on the outside. If it's all metal, you can kind of re-lubricate those, but they're pretty hard to clean. You can't really flush those out. And for this one, we're going to focus on the ones that have that little plastic shield. You're going to need a few basic things. One being your dirty bearings. Second being a razor blade. Third being some type of like container that you can put a cleaning agent in. We're using little Bones little bearing cleaner since it has these nice little things that separate bearings. Makes it nice and easy. And you're going to also need a cleaning agent This is Go Melt Carburetor Cleaner. I've used it a lot before. Works pretty well, and it's pretty cost effective. Other stuff you can use like acetone, or you can use like isopropyl alcohol. But try not to use a citrus cleaner because that can leave some residue, kind of eat away at stuff. And don't use WD-40. That will mess your bearings up. So please don't use that. Once you got that stuff ready, first step is just to pop out your shields. Now this is the Bone Swiss Labyrinth one, so it has a shield on both sides. Most only have it on one side to make it easy, but on mine I gotta pop both out. So first thing is take your razor blade. Now please enter it very, very carefully in there, and if your kids, make sure your parents are helping you out with this. So we don't want any lost limbs, fingers, and cuts and stuff. That's kind of lame. So you want to take out your razor blade. You want to insert it very softly along the rim, and try to pull that up. Usually takes a few tries. Oh, I got it first try. But be very gentle with that. You don't want to be damaging all the shields or anything. So just set that aside. Now I said most shields only have one. My bearings happen to have two, so we're going to do the other side now. There we go. Alright, now you have the option of actually taking the little steel ball bearing actually out of its shield and casing. I usually don't, because unless you have specific tools, they can get loose or not set correctly. So unless you're kind of ready for that and have the correct tools, don't do that. And if you do, you probably know how to do this and don't really need this video anyway. So I'm just going to leave them like that, and then we'll kind of press on. So now we're just going to kind of fill up your container. I mean, you can use like a little cup or something from this. I would not suggest a one you plan on drinking with after. But just put a little bit of your cleaning agent in there. And also probably do this in a well-ventilated area. We don't want anybody passing out while cleaning the bearings. On this one, we're using this little Bones cleaning kit. And this one, because it has this nice little feature where you can separate all your bearings. Just for this one, I'm just doing one, so we're not sitting here just screwing on 8 different bearings. But this does have these nice little separators, and it also makes it easy to kind of dunk in and out. I've done this plenty where I've just used a screwdriver to kind of stir them around. That's a little more difficult, just to make sure they're getting a good clean. Alright, cool. Just attach this one bearing in there. Alright, and now for the dunk. Set it in there. And what this cleaning agent is doing is really taking everything out of that bearing. All the little dirt and stuff in there, all the actually lubrication that's in there too. That's why one of the major things is going to be re-lubricating your bearings. We'll get to that a little later. So we're going to shake that up, and then we're going to check the bearing out. Alright, did pretty good, got a lot out of there, so I'm just going to kind of wipe around the edge here with a paper towel, get some of the other corrosion off. Always be checking back to your cleaning agent. You want to make sure if it gets dirty. Since we're just doing one, it's not very, I'm going to reuse it. But note that if it does get pretty dirty, go ahead, change that out, and go again. Now sometimes it helps that if you have really gunky berries, just go ahead and let them soak for a while. And keep alternating that until they're actually pretty clean. After that, basically, you're just going to need to kind of take them out. Fish them out with a screwdriver if using a cup. With this one, I just gotta kind of easily pull it out. And then just kind of set them on a paper towel to dry. You can also use a compressed air canister to make sure you get everything out of the bearing. So you want to make sure all this cleaning agent is out of there. And then set them down to dry. And set them out to, once they dry, you can add a couple drops of lubrication back in. Put back on the shields, and then you're pretty much ready to go. Well, last thing I do is just put the other shield on. For me anyway, usually it's just one shield. Just kind of gently snap that in. Give a little spin test that it's good. And that's pretty much it for cleaning out your bearings. So this has pretty much been like some of the most popular techniques for kind of tuning your longboard, keeping it maintained. Try to keep it out of sand, try to keep it out of water, and it should be rolling for a long